Welcome into the Cougar Tailgate, where BYU fandom lives. Here's your host, Lauren McLean.
How's it going, everybody? The Olympics are just a month away, which means we'll get to watch some of the best athletes in the world compete. Now, if you're a BYU fan, there are a few track and field athletes right now in the Olympic trials who are fighting for the chance to represent the U.S. in their specific events. BYU's track and field team has been elite this year, to say the least. And we're going to bring on one of the biggest track and field fans you will ever meet. If you don't believe me, just Google him. His Uber fandom once went viral. Let's welcome on BYU Athletics Development Coordinator, Isaac Wood. Thanks for coming on, Isaac.
Oh, Lauren, yes, it's a pleasure. Truly a pleasure. And please don't Google me, okay? Or at least please listen to this first and then watch that, so then you can be like, oh, he is a somewhat normal human being. Somewhat.
Hey, no, you are an incredible human being. And for those who aren't familiar with the viral video of you cheering your heart out at one of BYU's track meets back in 2019, give them the rundown of what was happening.
The rundown is that we had the previous year. So it was the 2019 NCAA track and field championships, where I had someone unfortunately film me losing my mind. The year before, in 2018, we had 4 men qualify in the 10,000 or the 10K, and we finished something like, 15th of the 24 that ran. We finished like 15th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th in that race. And it was embarrassing. Some of the internet message boards were mocking BYU for not being able to race when it matters, and things like that. It was tough. We kind of carried that. And so that in 2019, when Clayton Young won the 10K and Connor McMillan was third and Connor Mance was fourth, it was it was kind of an unheard of quality of a finish for our team, and to have three athletes in the top 4 is pretty incredible in one event. And I lost my mind, and someone filmed me do it, and the rest of my weekend at that meet and that next year, I couldn't escape it. In fact, I still can't escape it, really. But I think people can relate to it, maybe because they've all had moments where they lost their minds like that, but just it wasn't filmed in a way that it was easy to upload to the internet. And anyway, so that's the story behind that.
Absolutely. I think it's really relatable. And what I think is so cool about it is you don't see it. I mean, unless you're a parent or something of one of the kids running, I feel like you don't see it as much in track and field events. And you did a between the lines segment with me after all that happened. It was absolutely hilarious. You were showing your passion for other things in life, like recycling, by cheering loudly in people's faces when they did that. I think Spencer told me he's still deaf from that segment. But since that time, he really might be. In fact,
maybe that's why Spencer doesn't want to do anything with me anymore. It's weird. I text Spencer. I say, hey, let's golf. Let's play basketball. Let's do this. And he's like, huh? I can't hear you. Oh, no,
I don't know what you're saying, Isaac.
What are you saying?
You've cost me thousands of dollars in hearing bills.
Yes, that's right.
Well, since that time, you've changed positions, I think back in August of last year. So what does your new position entail?
So I'm the development coordinator. Essentially, I work in fundraising for BYU Athletics. So my boss is Chad Lewis, and I essentially just am charged with helping run the Cougar Club and helping, hopefully help more BYU fans see a value and a reason to support BYU Athletics financially. And that's what I do. And I love it, actually. It's great for someone who's passionate about BYU Athletics and hopefully has the ability to, express the necessity for the donation and make connections with our fans, because I am a fan. It helps, I think, in some level. So it's been a fun last year. Of course, sometimes I miss the weekend spent at track meets, but I don't miss being gone 25 weekends out of the year.
Yes.
So away from my family. So now it's a little less, and that's been a positive thing. I think the pandemic helped me realize that I wanted to be home a little more than I was. So that's been a positive from the pandemic for me. And yeah, it's been a fun almost year in this role. And I mean, I get to work, I sit right next to Chad Lewis and Robbie Bosco every day. So how bad can it be, right?
Your boss is Chad Lewis. I was going to ask, do you get like this intense pep talk every day when you go to work from Chad?
Every day. He looks at me and says, Isaac, I need you to grip it. Or no, what is it? I need you to grip it and rip it. Yeah, every day. Every day.
Oh, my God.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Coolest boss
Whatever you
ever.
want, Chad. I'll run through a wall for you, man.
I know. For real. That dude runs to the Y and back. Unreal. That man's unreal. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just talked about this. You were previously the director of operations for track and field and cross country. And obviously they've had an incredible season and I know you miss it. So what was it like for you not being able to be front and center like you usually are for such an awesome season?
Yeah, it was hard. I'm used to being there. I was lucky enough that they thought I had enough value and they brought me to the national championships, which was fun. And I, played a small role in just helping athletes get to and from the track and just kind of being there next to coaches to help them. In fact, I kind of was the one who mentioned to Coach Eyestone that we should appeal Taylor Franco not making the final in the 1500 because it looked like something illegal had happened in the race and it actually worked. So that was cool. But not being able, right. Missing not being there for the women's national championship in cross country was tough to watch from home, from the standpoint of like, I wish I was there, but it was super fun to see the success that they've had. And, it's cool to know how hard the athletes work and the sacrifices that they make to be, to set the standard for excellence and greatness in their sport, and to see them actually do what they know they can do, right? Like there's nothing better than being able to like know that you did like something you're really good at, you were able to do it at the highest level you could, right? And so watching our athletes do that this year has been super fun. And despite not being able to be there front and center for all those opportunities and all those competitions, it's still just an honor and pleasure to even be somewhat connected to that program and to see the success that they've had.
So much happened. The cross country national championship for the women, Connor Mance, records being broken. What do you feel like was the most impressive
Connor
thing?
As well.
Yes. What do you feel like was the most impressive thing about BYU's success this season?
I think two different things I would want to bring up. One is the women winning the national championship with the team that they had this year was really just impressive. I thought it was just an incredible, to be honest, an incredible coaching job by Coach Taylor, and also an incredible display of heart and competitiveness from the women who ran that race. But also, if you look at the entirety of the track team, a lot of people look at BYU as a distance running school, and it probably is in terms of, that's where the majority of our, top athletes are in that area. But that's not totally the case because, we've got, on the men's and women's side, one of the best javelin throwers in the country on each men's women's side. Ashton Reiner on the women's side and Cam Bates on the men's, and Michael Bluth in the 400 running, breaking school records and making the final in the 400, and both men's 4x1 and 4x400 relays making it to nationals. And it's a well-rounded team. Zach McWhorter on the pole vault was one of the best in the country this year. So it's really been super fun to see how deep the BYU team is in almost every area of track and field.
Yes. How fun for you to be able to, just hearing you name these athletes by name, just hearing you talk about it, I can tell there's just a deep connection with them because you're able to work with them, and you just have a love for track and field. Before BYU, you were an assistant track and field coach at Weber State. But I know your roots run deep. You're one of the biggest fans I know. So where did your passion for the sport begin?
Growing up, my dad was a bigwig in the sport. He was the head of long distance running for USA Track and Field and was a big agent for some of the best runners in the world. And so, we didn't go on vacations growing up, except like the vacations we've been on were track meets. And like, that sounds like I'm like, trying to be, funny. No, that's legitimately the honest truth. The only vacations we ever took were to the NCAA track and field championships or the USA's. And so that's kind of all right. It's just like, it's all
Right.
And so from a young age, like my parents are pretty intense on like not watching TV on Sunday and things like that. But when the Olympics rolled around or anything track and field, magically it was okay,
The rules went out the window.
It was like, well, my parents would say it promotes brotherhood, I'm like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Of course we're watching this.
You're like, Mom and Dad, I can make the argument about a lot of things that promote brotherhood, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah, exactly. No, correct. So that's kind of where my roots come from, my brother was my high school track coach as well. And so,
Wow.
I mean, it's just been a part of my life, my whole life. And it's, I talk with my dad and that brother almost every day, each of them. And most of the conversation is revolved around the sport, track and field or cross country. And so, when you talk about that much, I'm probably getting close to that 10,000 hour, quota that Malcolm Gladwell put out there to be an expert in something, because I feel pretty confident I've put in about 10,000 hours worth of thinking or doing in the sport of track and field and cross country. So,
I guarantee it. In your opinion, what makes track and field unique and appealing as opposed to some of the other sports?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like that question too, because it is unique and I don't think it gets enough credit. Of course, I feel that way.
Yes.
Most track fans have this massive chip on their shoulder about the fact it doesn't get enough love. And I'm probably one of those, trying to be self-aware here. So, I think what makes it unique is that I think anyone in any, whatever you are, whatever you look like, whatever you do, I think you can relate to what's happening out there. Whether you're, a big, strong person who loves the throws, whether you're, you've been like the fastest kid in your class in elementary school and you could outrun everyone on the soccer field, you probably relate to the sprinters. And if you love daring things and jumping from great heights, you can be excited about the pole vault or the high jump, or you win your local 5K and you're like, I love distance running. It all kind of, I think anyone can relate to various parts of the sport. And so I think that is appealing and makes it unique. I think when people think of the Olympics, I think they naturally go to track and field, like when they think the Olympics, they think, I remember watching Usain Bolt running 9:59 or whatever he ran and to break the world record in the 100. Or I remember, maybe a little older, I remember Michael Johnson on the golden shoes, right? I remember FloJo. Like those are the things, like you start talking about the Olympics and most people will go to, track and field. And you throw swimming in there, gymnastics, whatever else is in the Olympics that people care about. But I think track and field seems to be the sport that kind of comes front of mind when you think about the Olympics.
I 100% agree. I think what makes it so awesome and appealing for such a wide audience too is because it's so basic. I mean, it's whoever gets the best time wins, right? Or whoever throws it the farthest wins. It doesn't have to be complicated like in some other sports. And like you said, it's like these basic human movements that people do when you're a little kid. And I think that's what makes it so cool. So Isaac, when you're tuning into the Olympics this summer, what event are you most excited to watch?
Oh man, that's such a good question. And I'm going to give you an answer that no one's going to like, but I love the 10,000, the 10K on the track.
Oh.
Maybe, and that's the one that I watched and lost my mind on, and someone captured that on film. But, my dad has always joked around and said, there's nothing better than a great 10K, nothing worse than a bad one, because it's 25 laps on the track. So it's either,
right.
It's either engrossing and it's almost like a drama that unfolds in these 25 laps of, each lap is a new kind of chapter, or it's like, it's the obvious guy who's going to win, goes out there and hammers it from the gun, and it's really boring, right? But I love the 10K for that. I mean, I think people enjoy the steeplechase. I think there was a comedian on Twitter who got a lot of engagement on a tweet that she posted about what the heck is the steeplechase, because she was watching it in the trials, and it's an interesting event because people are jumping over these weird looking barriers in the water. And everyone loves the sprints, right? So it's fun to watch the 100 and the 200 and the relays, because I think, and especially the relays, because there's so much, unknown about, are they actually going to get the baton all the way around the track and things like that. So those are certainly ones to, if you're not a track fan, but you want to enjoy the Olympics, like, those are kind of the events that I would, stay tuned on and pay attention to when they are, because they're really enjoyable.
But you're the 10,000 meter guy.
That's I love the 10K. Love it. Love the 10,000.
So awesome. All right. Well, you are an uber fan of track and field. I want to know,
Sure.
Are there any other sports you are a huge fan of?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I played a lot of basketball. At one point, my dad stopped doing the agent business, and him and a friend went in on buying a professional basketball team in England. So
wow.
at some point in my life, I became a big basketball fan. I'm actually a big fan of European basketball as well, like Euro hoops. I think it's really kind of fun to pay attention to. And so I'm a weird, quirky fan of like European basketball. I find that super cool. And of course, all the other sports, like, I can have a somewhat, in-depth conversation about most of the major sports. I just like it all, right? Like yes. I don't really have any other things I like to do I don't like hiking. I don't like biking. I don't like hunting. I don't like doing anything really outdoors where I just sleep on the ground. I want to be in my house on a Saturday with ESPN on and Fox Sports on and NBC Sports on or whatever. I want everything on at once. And I just want to consume it all. That is my ideal Saturday. And it's even better when it's track and field. So.
Oh, and your voice is getting louder. I love it. That's the Isaac I know and love right there. Isaac,
fired up, Lauren.
Yeah,
sorry, Jesus.
So great.
Can't help myself.
Isaac, you're amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming on. And wish everyone on the track and field team good luck as they're moving forward this week, and hope they all do well.
Yeah, me too. It should be fun. It's nice to see a lot of BYU jerseys getting some airtime on NBC and NBC Sports. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Coming up, boss man Junior Phillips joins me to chat more about the upcoming Olympic Games and how he feels about running a 10K. Up next on Cougar Tailgate. Welcome back to the Cougar Tailgate. I'm Lauren McLean. I just chatted with track and field guru and superfan Isaac Wood about BYU's incredible success this season. And now it's time to bring on the pride of BYU TV sports, Junior Phillips. What's up, Junior?
Not much. How are you?
Good. Hey, real quick, Isaac Wood said his favorite event to watch in the Olympics is the 10K. When was the last time you ran 10,000 meters?
Oh, man. How long is how many miles is that?
I think that's around like 6 miles.
6 miles?
6, 7 miles. Yeah.
Okay. It was
10,000 meters sounds way more intimidating than when you say it in miles.
Miles. I actually ran, and people who know me will probably have a hard time believing this. 5 years ago, I ran a half marathon. So
no way.
Yes.
Good for you.
So it's been a while.
You're alive to tell the tale.
I'm alive to tell the tale. But yeah.
One of my favorite things to bring up when people are trying to get me to run some sort of race is the guy who ran the first marathon was a soldier who was running to tell the Athenians that they defeated the Persians. He died. The guy died. He died after running it. So bodies, at least my body, was not meant to run long distances. That's what I tell people that are like, let's train for a marathon. I'm like, absolutely not.
Well, I'm definitely not fast, so I guess distance is the only thing that I could possibly.
So cool, though. Was that a good experience for you?
You know what? It was very hard, but you know, when you have family and friends and stuff like that cheering you on, it makes it a little easier. But yeah, it was not. I will admit that when I got to about mile 11, I got passed by the people winning the full marathon. So that was a little bit demoralizing, but hey, whatever. I finished.
No, hey, exactly. That's not what it's about. I think that's incredible that you finished and you even tried. That's more than I can say. All right, the Olympic Games are just a month away. Junior, what's your favorite track and field event to watch?
Oh, it would have to be the sprints, the 100 and 200. I think it's amazing to see how fast people can actually run.
Yes, I agree. The 100, they are just jet fast. It's so much fun to watch. I threw the javelin in high school, so I even love the field events like the javelin. Track and field is a lot harder than people think. These athletes are absolutely incredible. And Junior, you are getting the opportunity to go see them live and in person in Tokyo. How did that all come about?
So yeah, I'm actually working at the basketball venue and stuff with the broadcast. About 2.5 years ago, I was asked if I wanted to come work, and so I made sure it worked here at BYUtv and took that opportunity. So it was really hard last year when it got postponed, but able to make it work to do it this year. So I'm really excited. It's the first time I've worked the Olympics. I know we have a few people here at BYU Broadcasting that work it, every few years. So this is kind of a big deal to me to go out there, and it's a weird year to work it, a different year. It's an exciting year where the only spectators will be those who live in Japan, and so it will be a different experience that no one else will be able to experience. I'll be one of the few non-athletes from the United States that will be able to be there. And so it's a unique opportunity. It's something I definitely don't take for granted, and I'm very excited to go experience.
Honestly, what a privilege. And you said you're going there to work the basketball events, and with COVID still happening, and I know things are a little strange in Tokyo right now, what are some of the protocols that you have to go to in order to be able to work the event?
Well, they want us to kind of monitor ourselves 14 days before we leave, and just symptoms checks and things like that. We do 2 PCR tests within 96 and 72 hours of flying, and we need to have those signed by a doctor that they were legit tests and everything, and we bring that with us. I already have my accreditation, which counts as my visa. We're only limited to the time that we're working there. So within 72 hours of your the venue where you're working, the sport that you're working with it within 72 hours of it finishing, you need to fly out. So wow. I will go through all that. When I get there, I will be tested again, and tested for the first 4 days. For the first 14 days, they're asking us to basically just hotel and venue. And I will be in Saitama where they're playing basketball. And our hotel is directly across the street. We walk over a pedestrian bridge, over some train tracks, and we're right there. So I will be bouncing between my hotel and the venue for the first 14 days. And so I'll end up having about 9 days once that 14-day quarantine is over. Kind of my final 9 days there, where I will be able to take public transportation, eat inside restaurants. We'll be able to take things to go. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I was gonna say that would be so disheartening to be in that country and not be able to explore and see everything that's happening. So I'm glad you get to do that the last 9 days. You're gonna be covering basketball. I have to ask, do you think you'll be able to meet any of the guys up close and personal on the USA team?
Unfortunately not. They are asking us, you have to be within 2 meters or about 6.5 feet away from all of the athletes. And so they're really sheltering the athletes and stuff like that. I think in a normal year, I would probably get 2. But in a COVID year, they're really doing, and a lot has been out in the news of how Japanese people are maybe a little worried about this, and the Olympic broadcasting systems and the Olympics are really working very hard to make it as safe as possible, both for the athletes, for those who are going to work, and for the residents there. So they're really trying to bubble and create a safe environment. So I would love to. But I don't know how much interaction I will get. Normally, I think I would be able to, but
yes. Well, maybe those last 9 days, everyone's going to feel a little fun and fancy free. You'll be able to
hopefully
run into one of them. You never know. All right. So, what is your favorite Summer Olympic event to watch, just in general? So, you're thinking of your last 9 days there. If there's some stuff going on, what would be your number one thing you'd want to go watch?
Oh. I think I love golf, and so I think it would be fun now that golf is a new sport in there to see golf. Also, swimming. Swimming's always fun. Anything that's a race like that, where I'm kind of partial to the things that don't necessarily have judges. You talked about the track and field, the throwing, and things like that. There's nothing subjective about it. It's right. Did you run faster? Did you throw further? Did you jump higher and stuff like that? So I love sports like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. So tell me, what's kind of the timeline of your Olympic experience? When do you take off and what happens then?
So I leave July 19th, and then I will fly into Tokyo, and then the kind of onboarding in the airport where your credential kind of becomes your visa and you provide the tests and you get tested. They said to plan on about 5 hours in the airport after a 10.5-hour flight from Seattle to Tokyo.
Nightmare.
And then the very next day I start working. I think we'll do a little bit of training, And then the games start, and basketball starts on day one, and the gold medal games is on the same day as the closing ceremonies. So closing ceremonies happen on the 8th. On the 9th, I'll hop back on a plane and arrive back in Salt Lake in the afternoon on there. And so it's gonna be pretty crazy. No days off in there, but it's an amazing experience. I mean, I understand that it's going to be a lot of work, but I think it's also going to just an amazing opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way you could pass that up. And Junior, my last question for you is just along the lines of the Olympics. BYU has a handful of athletes, track and field athletes, who are trying to qualify for the Olympics right now this weekend. Track and field is never the most talked about team on campus or even the most covered, no matter how good they are. Football is king, obviously. Basketball isn't too far behind. But what's it been like from your perspective with BYUtv and BYU Sports Nation covering these track and field athletes this season?
It's been amazing watching these track and field athletes. Ed Eyestone, Diljit Taylor are just amazing coaches that inspire and push these athletes to what they can do. And watching them accomplish so much, it's amazing. I mean, this year, the 2020, 2021 year, through all the COVID and everything like that, has been one of BYU's best years. And it's been so fun to watch, where it doesn't matter, what sport it is. It always seems like BYU's somewhere near the top. And the track and field, where they've had several, like you said, several people competing for a spot in the Olympics. I mean, it does not get any higher than that. National championships, but even bigger than that is, the Olympics. So it's been so much fun and so amazing to watch.
So cool. Junior, you're amazing. And for those of you listening, Junior's going to come on hopefully while he's at the Olympics and give us some awesome updates about what he's doing there. And that does it for us today. Thanks again to Isaac Wood and Junior Phillips for coming on the show with me. You can join the Cougar Tailgate virtually, of course, every Saturday at noon Mountain Time, or download, rate, and review our podcast on Apple, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, or on BYURadio.org. This is Cougar Tailgate.